He almost didn't click the link. It sat there in his messages, quiet and unassuming, sent from an unknown number with no name attached. Just a blue hyperlink and nothing else. No greeting, no explanation, no context. In another moment of his life, he would have ignored it, deleted it, and gone back to scrolling through the endless noise that filled his evenings. But something about that silence pulled at him. Maybe it was the way the rain tapped softly against his window, filling the room with a lonely rhythm. Maybe it was the ache in his chest that had become so familiar he barely noticed it anymore. Or maybe it was the simple fact that he had nothing left to lose. He tapped the link. The video opened slowly, buffering for a moment before revealing a dimly lit frame. The image was shaky at first, as if whoever recorded it hadn't intended for anyone else to see it. Then it steadied. A room appeared. Not just any room. His room. His breath caught. The same cracked wall near the window. The same old wooden desk with a faint burn mark on the corner. Even the same faded curtain that never quite covered the entire glass pane. It was unmistakable. His fingers tightened around the phone. What the... The video continued. The camera moved slightly, revealing more of the room. It was empty, silent just like it was now. Then after a few seconds, someone entered the frame. Him. Not exactly him, but close enough that his stomach twisted. The man in the video looked like him, moved like him, even wore the same grey shirt he had on yesterday. But something was off. His posture was heavier, his movement slower, as if he carried something invisible on his shoulders. The version of him in the video sat down on the bed and buried his face in his hands. And then he started crying. Not the quiet kind of crying that hides behind closed doors. This was raw, painful, uncontrolled, the kind that shakes your entire body and leaves you gasping for air. The real him froze. He hadn't cried like that in years. The video self lifted his head, eyes red and hollow, and stared directly at the camera. For a moment, it felt like he was looking straight at him through the screen. "I don't know who's watching this," the man said, his voice hoarse, barely holding together. "Maybe no one. Maybe it's just me." A chill ran down his spine. "This is what it looks like," the man continued. "This is what happens when you keep everything inside. When you pretend you're okay long enough that you forget what okay even feels like." The real him swallowed hard. He wanted to close the video. He should have closed it. None of this made sense. It was impossible. It had to be some kind of trick, some edited footage, some coincidence that looked too real. But his finger didn't move. "I know you think you're strong," the man said, his voice trembling. "I know you think you can handle it on your own, that you don't need anyone, that you don't have time to feel." He let out a broken laugh. "But look at you." Silence filled the room again, but it wasn't empty anymore. It pressed against him, heavy and suffocating. "You stopped calling her," the man whispered. "You told yourself it was better that... Way easier, cleaner, but you didn't just lose her. You lost yourself." His heart pounded. "Her!" He hadn't said her name in months, hadn't allowed himself to think about her, without quickly pushing the memory away. "You remember the night she waited for you," the man said softly. "The one where it rained just like this. She kept calling. You saw it, you just didn't pick up." The sound of rain outside grew louder, as if the world itself was leaning in to listen. "She wasn't asking for much," he continued. "Just one moment, one conversation, one chance to feel like she mattered." The real him closed his eyes. He remembered. Of course he remembered. He had been sitting right here in this same room, staring at his phone as it buzzed again and again. He had been tired, overwhelmed, angry at things he didn't even understand. And instead of answering, instead of letting her in, he had turned the phone over and let it ring until it stopped. "She left the next day," the man said. A tear slipped down his cheek. He hadn't cried like this in years. "And you told yourself it was fine," the man went on. "That you'd move on. That there would be other people, other chances. But deep down you knew." His voice cracked. "You knew she was the only one who ever really saw you." The real him opened his eyes again, his vision blurred. The man on the screen leaned closer, his expression intense, almost desperate. "But this isn't about her," he said. "Not really. This is about you." The room felt smaller, You're still here, he continued. Still breathing. Still waking up every day and pretending it doesn't hurt. But it does. It always does. The man wiped his face, taking a shaky breath. And you have a choice. The words hung in the air. You can keep doing this. Keep hiding. Keep running. Keep pretending that you're fine until one day you wake up and realize you've lost everything that ever mattered. He paused. Or you can change. The real him shook his head slightly, as if trying to push the words away. Change. It sounded so simple. Too simple. You don't need to fix everything, the man said gently. You don't need to become someone else overnight. Just start small. He managed a faint, tired smile. Call someone. Say what you've been holding back. Let yourself feel something real again. The rain softened, turning into a quiet whisper against the window. You're not as alone as you think, he added. The screen flickered slightly, as if the video was about to end. The man looked directly into the camera one last time. And if no one else tells you this, he said softly, you're allowed to be happy. The video cut to black. For a long time he just sat there, staring at the empty screen. His chest rose and fell, unevenly, as if he had just run a long distance. His hands trembled slightly, still gripping the phone. None of it made sense, and yet it felt more real than anything he had experienced in a long time. Slowly, he lowered the phone and looked around the room. Everything was the same walls, the same desk, the same silence. But something inside him had shifted. He reached for his phone again, his fingers hesitating for a moment before unlocking it. His contact list appeared, names he hadn't touched in months, some even years. He scrolled past them slowly, his heart pounding with each movement. Then he stopped. Her name, it was still there. Of course it was. He stared at it, memories flooding back all at once. The laughter, the late-night conversations, the way she used to look at him like he was enough. His thumb hovered over the call button. What if she didn't answer? What if she had moved on? What if it was too late? He took a deep breath. The rain outside had almost stopped now, leaving behind a quiet stillness that felt different somehow. Lighter. He pressed the button. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. His heart sank slightly. Then, hello? Her voice. Soft, familiar, real. He froze for a second, his throat tightening. I didn't think you'd pick up, he said quietly. There was a pause on the other end. I almost didn't, she replied. He let out a small, nervous laugh. I guess we're both full of almosts. Another pause. But this one felt different. Warmer. Why are you calling? She asked gently. He looked around the room again, at the life he had been living, at the silence he had grown used to. And then he spoke. Because I don't want to almost anymore. The words felt strange at first, but also right. I messed up, he continued. I shut you out. I was scared, and instead of facing it, I ran. And I've been running ever since. His voice shook slightly, but he didn't stop. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I needed to tell you the truth. The line was quiet. For a moment he thought he had lost her. Then she spoke. I waited for this call, she said softly. For a long time. His chest tightened. I know, he whispered. And I almost gave up, she added. He closed his eyes. But you didn't, he said. No, she replied. I didn't. A small, fragile hope flickered inside him. They talked. Not about everything, not all at once, but enough. Enough to feel the walls start to crack. Enough to let something real in again. When the call ended, he sat there for a while, the phone still in his hand. The room was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty anymore. He glanced at the screen one last time. The video link was still there. He tapped it again. This time it didn't open. It was gone, as if it had never existed. He stared at the blank screen, a slow realization settling in. Maybe it didn't matter where it came from. Maybe it was never meant to. What mattered was what it had shown him, what it had made him feel, what it had changed. He stood up and walked to the window, pushing the curtain aside. The rain had stopped completely now, leaving behind a clean, quiet world. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel stuck. He didn't feel lost. He just felt present. And somehow, that was enough.